Can I do this? I wake up doubting myself, lying in bed for a while, thinking about what I've been through over the last 5 months. Somehow, I've managed to survive this plague. I built myself a safe haven in Rosewood, cleared out most of the zombies, and trained my survival skills. Exploring the surrounding towns, I found nothing but zombies. The only signs of life were the leftovers in places I scavenged, and the remnants of our dead civilization, now being overtaken by vegetation and erosion. Occasionally, I'd hear a scream or gunshot in the distance. After discovering that an organization called Finnegan Research Group had received samples in the early days of the outbreak, I left my cozy base behind to face the harsh reality and cold of winter. Right now, I'm questioning my sanity. For all I know, everyone is gone. The faint signs in the distance give me hope that I might find someone out there eventually. I need to start from scratch, using the tools and materials I brought from my old base. It won't be easy, but building a new base in the forested area will be the best choice to avoid the crowds in Louisville. The number of sprinters is rising. Now, 8 out of 10 zombies are running. I expect the population to increase even more in the coming month, with the ratio of sprinters reaching 100%. Shrugging off my laziness, knowing the huge amount of work ahead, I head to the forest. After all, I've done it once before. I can do this. I clear the area of zombies, grab my axe, and start chopping. The morning flies by, and as I start to get hungry, I set up camp nearby. Without electricity, a fire is the best way to keep myself warm and cook something to eat. My plan is to spend the rest of the day chopping through the trees until I reach the lake. Spreading the logs like this should make it easier to build a path from the road to my new base by the water. As the day ends, I finally reach the lake. Exhausted, I call it a day. Feeling satisfied with the progress I've made. Just as I'm about to relax, a zombie jumps out and startles me. Now paranoid, I keep a close watch on every rustle of the leaves, alert for any signs of danger. With all the fog, I'm worried about an unseen attack, but I carry on with my work. I need to get this done so I can thrive here just as I did in Rosewood. I spend my morning clearing more of the forest. After resting during lunch, I craft a crate to hold all the excess materials I've been carrying around in my bag. In the distance, I hear the typical signs of life, gunshots. I've heard them so many times up to now that I didn't bother to check yet again. When I head to drop a generator at the gas station, I'll take a look to see if I spot anything unusual. There are a lot more shots and noise than I've ever heard before. One of the perks of being in Louisville, I guess. Even in its undead state, it's still a busy city. On my way to the gas station, I pass through my first sight of people being around. A horde slain by someone besides me lies on the floor. I clear the area around the gas station and set it up for later use. Then, on my way back, I hear more gunshots. Drawn by the noise, I decide to follow and check it out. I found an actual person! I stare speechless at the first living human I've seen in the last 5 months. Eventually, we approach each other, and I ask her if she wants to join me. She replies, "Whatever you say, as long as your daughter can join too," prompting her daughter to come closer as well. After asking her to join, she simply says, "So be it." Afraid for her daughter's safety, Wendy asked me to not let anyone else join the group. I'll keep that in mind. Wendy tells me they got separated from her husband, Hugh, by the horde I saw near the gas station. So I take a look around the block, searching for more survivors, and then head back to camp to prepare a meal and talk for a bit. They told me they survived by barricading themselves after hearing the news about the infected breaking through the army barricade. But as their supplies dwindled, they were forced to search for food and eventually had their home overwhelmed by zombies. They had to run away, being on the run ever since. As they made their way to the gas station today, they were ambushed, prompting you to use his shotgun in a panic. This attracted more sprinters, and they got separated. I put the fire out and start telling them about my plan. And that's when we hear a shotgun in the distance. We dispatch the zombies drawn to the sound before venturing into the darkness of the forest. Despite feeling unsafe, Tracy's plea to save her father propels me into action. We pause momentarily, hoping to hear more shots to guide us before pressing forward. Following the sound, we eventually come across you and invite him to join our group, though we must now deal with the hordes of zombies drawn to the shotgun blasts. The darkness makes it very hard to see, and my flashlight battery has run out. The zombies are mostly coming from the north since I cleared the south area for the base. We managed to survive the incoming horde, and during our discussion about our next move, Yu interrupts me to clarify that everyone calls him by his second name, Jack, except his wife. After grabbing a snack, we move to our temporary quarters to sleep. With help now, I decide to start sawing the logs while everybody pitches in to pile them up. What would take me a week to do is now being completed in a day through the power of teamwork. And it seems Tracy can handle herself quite well with a baseball bat. Huh, that's good to know. At the end of the day, we discussed our next steps, and I asked why Wendy didn't want anyone else in the group. Apparently, there are more people out there, and they're not so friendly. All they want to do is steal and kill any other survivors they come across. From her reaction, I know it's best not to ask if they've crossed paths with each other. On the next day, I brought the car over and handed some of my weapons to my new companions. A machete for Wendy, as she is still using a kitchen knife to defend herself, and the SPAS 12 should be an upgrade for Jack over his double barrel. After lunch, we returned to the same duties as yesterday for the rest of the day. In the morning, I gave Jack my wood axe and let him handle the trees while I start making arrangements to build a road to the new base. I begin by demolishing the light pole that will be in the way as we go in and out of the base, building a set of stairs to reach the top part and then work on dismantling the bottom of it. With Wendy and Tracy bringing wood to me and Jack clearing the forest, we make quick progress. In just 2 days, we have most of the road done, and just a little bit more to go until we reach the lake. As we are on the last stretch of the road, we're attacked by a horde. Hearing a zombie before I saw it, I ran into it in the dark, and it took a chunk off my jacket with its jaws. After I regained my composure, I managed to throw it to the floor and shoot it. Wendy, finding herself in my stash of weapons, grabs a 9mm and starts blasting. In the end, we're all safe. Perhaps with the surrounding woods a little bit safer now, thanks to Wendy's actions, which could be seen as a silver lining. Being stubborn, I push through until the road is finished. Then I set up a couple of walls, and finally, I call it a day. This will be the storage and garage area. I'm not an engineer, and I have no clue what I'm doing. And instead of planning things ahead, I'm throwing things together as I go and seeing what sticks. And as this is my first building of these proportions, together with managing a team to help me, things took longer than expected as I'm getting used to my new role. At the end of the day, to ensure food lasts as long as possible, I steal a fridge and place it in what will be in the future, the kitchen. I turn on the generator to kickstart things. I start building the walls, but after having lunch, as I put the bowl away, I notice the group has piled up all the zombies in the area in one spot. I decide to strip them for cloth, tannin, and much needed leather for later use. I don't stop despite feeling queasy after standing on corpses all day long. After waking up, I keep going with the garage, stopping halfway to do a cremation service and then move the car inside the garage for the convenience of having the building materials closer. Getting the hang of how to manage the construction work made building that much faster, and after deciding on the dimensions of the bottom floor, I saw the rest of the logs until nightfall. We keep working on the bottom floor, even with the snow starting to pile up, looking forward to have a safe haven of our own making, keeping us warm at night, instead of a small house where we are sharing any sofas or couches to sleep, barely keeping us warm. By the end of the day, I start putting down the first floor flooring. I'm getting worried about the number of nails I have, so I spend some of my morning gathering some food and searching for nails as I go. Finding a generator and some metal, I go back to base and build a furnace so I can melt the metal into nails. I also build a crate for storage, and after getting some workable iron, set the envelope. I'm setting some more flooring when Jack tells me that if I'm worried about nails, he knows of a shop nearby that should have some supplies we can use. I thank him for that and keep on going, finishing the floor, covering the garage too. As we start working in the morning, a zombie attacks Tracy. I shoot it down from a distance, helping her out. She was really shaken up by it, making me think she got bit. But she was fine, just really stressed out by the intense situation. I spend most of my day working on the metal we have so far to make doorknobs and hinges, and a bunch of nails with the leftover iron. I place down the doors in the dark, then start building the upstairs walls, pushing myself through the night to finish it, leaving some flooring so I can set the windows for it later on. In the morning, with some light coming through, I finally see the results of my handiwork through the night. The doors have a huge gap between them and the wall, so I have to replace them all, followed by windows upstairs. While I'm deciding where to put the staircase to the roof, we had our first visitor banging on the door. Not wanting to make a mess inside, I shove it out of the building before asking it politely to go away. I crack on with building the staircase and finishing the roof. After all of that, I'm running low on nails again, so I set out to find some more in the nearby garages. I find another generator. Seriously now, what are the odds of me finding so many generators? It seems everyone was storing them before this whole thing started. Was there a major sale and everyone bought one? Having found a few boxes and a few more materials, I returned back to base, keeping in mind the Camaro in great condition in this garage. I place all the materials in the temporary crate and get back to building. The base is starting to take shape and I'm liking the looks of it. The inside is a mess, but we'll sort it soon enough. I forgot to leave windows in the kitchen, and that the garage wall to the kitchen needed to be different. Whoops. One of the perks of playing it by ear. Then, it's a matter of setting up a few more doors and walls to make the place warmer than outside and tiling up the kitchen floor. After that, it's time to actually set up the storage, this time using military crates. They are twice as efficient as wooden crates, with the con of not being able to paint them. But I'll need fewer crates for everything, so I can finally empty the car and trailer of all the stuff I brought from Rosewood, as we'll need that cargo space for tomorrow. In the morning, I steal 3 beds, and we finally can sleep in our new base. I place the bed down in places I believe will be suitable for the bedrooms, and while I pass by Wendy, she tells me to hurry up with some walls for privacy. The apocalypse hasn't stopped her hormones from working their magic, I guess. Unfortunately for her, Jack and I had already plans for this evening, and we went out late to get some supplies from the pizza place. We start clearing the surrounding zombies as Jack detracted the hordes with the shotgun, and I kept shooting them down, taking turns reloading so we wouldn't get into trouble. But damn, Jack is an awful shot. Just like I was when I started shooting, missing point-blank shots. We eventually clear our way to the pizza place and get what we needed: tomato sauce, flour, and an oven. Back home, I start decorating: a lamp so we can see a bit better, the oven, and the table. I tidy up the place and prepare a meal for all of us to celebrate meeting each other and achieving this together. After all, tonight is Christmas. Maybe I'm just reflecting my own needs and loneliness, but even though we've only known each other for 2 weeks, I like to think of them as my new family. We've slept, eaten, and built the house together, spending nearly all our time with each other. We've built the bedroom walls, then I spent the whole day trying to figure out where was a leak in the walls, as the temperature in the upstairs hallway was the same as outside. I couldn't figure it out, so I isolated every side of the hallway to rule options out. The problem was somewhere in the central part of the hallway or the staircase. After removing some corners, the central hallway was now fixed, leaving now only the staircase. Tried removing the window, but that wasn't it. So I tried yet again to divide this in sections, and just like that, it was solved. Apparently, it was the stairs themselves that needed a wall closer to them in order to be leak-free. I put the window back up, and after some demolition work, the bedrooms are done as well. After putting down some rails, I call it a day. With the kitchen and bedrooms complete, it's time for the living room flooring, followed by the recreation room, not called a man cave anymore, as it's not just for me. And with most of my reading done, I won't need that many bookshelves anymore. And finally, the rest of the roof. Then I spend the day tidying up the place from branches and sticks and do a bug out bag just in case. I decide it's time for us to go and raid the tool shop for more supplies, namely nails, but any extra tools would be welcome, given that it's 4 of us now. I park the car like a lunatic on cocaine and start shooting everything, not taking into account that Jack is carrying a shotgun without a silencer, calling for every zombie in the area to eat us. Of course, as soon as things get hairy, Jack freaks out and starts running, bumping into me in the process. And then in his panic, he shoots again, not having reloaded his weapon beforehand, resulting in him being surrounded and nearly dragged down. Fortunately, I reloaded just in time to save him. As we are nearly clearing the area, he panics as a horde breaks free from one of the buildings and runs instead of covering for me as I reload. And then, after nearly getting bitten myself, I panic too and start running for the fields after him. As I jump over the fence, I take the opportunity to get rid of the pursuing horde and regroup with Jack. Now understanding how Jack was separated from his family when I met them, I decide to find silencers for everyone, as we keep calling for more sprinters than we can handle. Heck, I've done the same mistake, and I've used silencers for ages now. We grab all the tools and materials we needed, including the tool cabinet, then we move on to the booze store to get as much alcohol as we can, heading back home afterwards. As it's New Year's Eve, I set up the table with all the booze we looted before and celebrated for a better year than the last one. It's a new year and a new me, so I sort out the inventory that I previously just dumped in the crates for later sorting. Thanks, past me. After that, I take a day off and read the book on the roof, just because I can, followed by more sawing for the rest of the day. Then, Jack and I decided to go on the hunt for more supplies after giving him a silencer. Our objective for the day is to gather more metal, nails, and furniture for the new place.
On our looting, we found paint, a metric ton of metal, garbage bags, another generator, stopping by a house to grab its TV and stand, together with the bathroom set. Then we came back home to get everything into place. Now we just need some rain, and we won't risk dying when going to the woods to empty our bladders. I wake up too early in the morning. With everyone still sleeping, I go and snatch that Camaro from before myself. Having 4 seats means all of us can go out looting, bringing more stuff and having safety in numbers. I'm thinking about going to loot a warehouse for paint and plaster one of these days, and any electric wiring that we can find as we are still in the dark. Oh, and an AC or two would be cool. So I spend my day repairing the car, finishing it at nighttime, and doing the armor bits in the next morning. Then start decorating the kitchen, realizing only now I can plumb the sink without a barrel on a higher level. I decorate the kitchen and call it a day. Jack, Tracy, Wendy and I make our way into the gas station to fill up our new wheels. We test out how well we work together. We will be fine. Everyone is trying their best, even though Tracy is a bit scared of it all. Actually, Tracy is a liability. She freaks out at the sight of any zombie. On our way to the hunting supplies shop, me and Wendy try to reassure her to stick with us, as we can cover each other's back. She nods and says she will try her best. I give her some beta blockers, hoping that will help. We grab a few weapons, parts, and ammo, then make our way next door to get more food and make our way back home. And that's when my bad driving nearly got us into trouble. I crashed into a car, and it somehow managed to hinge itself in between our car and the trailer. As a zombie starts banging on the car, we get out before we get surrounded, and that's when Tracy shines, showing us she can be brave when she trusts us to have her back, taking advantage of the high range of the AK-47 with the scope she is wielding, while I try to reach for a propane torch to get us out of here. I keep on decorating the kitchen after doing a porch outside and move all food from storage to the kitchen. Wendy comes along to let me know she is grateful for all the safety provided, but now that the workload has stopped, she is getting cold. I tell her that getting clothes for everyone is on top of my to-do list. At the end of the day, I go out to grab a... I eventually get a sink, place it down, and do a barrel for it. With the porch done, I also do a few crops. I asked Tracy to give me a hand, but turns out she has her own plans for how the crops should be, so I just leave her to it. The next day, we go and loot the military checkpoint for clothes and any weapons and ammo we can find. At this point, I've reached a couple of conclusions. All the zombies are now sprinters, but they stay in a slower pace state until they identify a target, and then start running. Tracy's still losing her grip on things. I guess she is just that traumatized with everything that has happened. We start checking the place out, grabbing everything that will be useful, finding plenty of military gear in this place. We do a slow and thorough sweep of the place, and as dusk hits, we find ourselves checking the barracks, where besides a whole lot of zombies, we find 5.56 bullets, gear, and spotlights. After grabbing everything we wanted and could carry, we head home with a trailer full of loot deep into the night. The day after, I upgrade and change it to the new backpack I found and put the loot away, making a few new drawers for everyone's new clothes. The next day, I start doing much needed repairs on the car, and everyone has changed into warmer gear. Jack stands around for a bit, telling me we should go to the warehouses we passed by on our way to the checkpoint to look for materials. As we need paint and electrical wire, I told him we'll go there as soon as we're done emptying the trailer. As such, we go out to look for wardrobes. In one of these houses, we find a zombie that was barricaded in the bathroom. Sadly, someone must have done it when hell broke loose out of fear for their safety. After grabbing the wardrobes, we came home and set them up the next day in the morning. Put all the new clothing away and do a few more barrels.
Then I spent the rest of the day cooking, getting meals ready for the rest of the week. After setting up the living room as we waited for dawn, we make our way to the warehouses area. Clearing our path of zombies and wrecked cars, as we need as much metal as possible for later on. At first, they were running away at the first sight of zombies, but after Wendy told them off about leaving her behind, we started working as a team. We get there by the end of the day due to clearing the roads. That doubled up as teamwork training, which was a good thing, because as we get there, the place is flooded with zombies. I circle around, trying to get us a chance to get out of the car safely, and we cleared the area as best we could before checking the place out. The first place we loot is Ivanov. The factory part drew my attention to it. I grabbed the clothes rack in there, a bucket of paint, a computer, and a bunch of crafting materials. Already being late, I decide we should go and look for a place to sleep nearby. And it looks like there is a small residential area that might have a small population of zombies. We get there, clear the area, and make sure the house was clear. After that, Jack and Wendy slept in one of the bedrooms, while me and Tracy slept on the guest bedroom. I offered to sleep in the couch, but Tracy said a bad night's sleep wouldn't do us any good tomorrow. We wake up late, but go back to it. We clear a huge horde that was following us in the intersection so it wouldn't bother us in the warehouses. Even though it was scary as hell, Tracy held her own while swearing at the horde. This girl turned a 180 on us, just standing her ground like that. Yet again, we arrive at the warehouse at nighttime. We spot two places we want to check out. Mashy signs in painting that should have paint and the Knox Pack kitchens next door. After clearing the area, we start with the kitchen place as we just need a few cupboards now. We grab what we needed and head out to the paint store. But I should have been more careful with my routing. As we make our way through the factory, we get caught out by a horde that broke a door open. And as I make my way in, everybody falls into a bad position by the door, making brave Wendy to nope out of there. Jack must have been under so much pressure he falls into his hands, but thankfully no one got hurt despite my bad decision making. With this much anxiety on us, while we still haven't found the paint we were looking for, we stayed another night at the house we stayed in last night. But as we need food, we clear a wider area to settle in another house in order to feed ourselves. After having something to eat, we went to sleep. We arrived at the warehouses earlier this time, and again, we cleared the area around the generator factory. Inside, we find plenty of crafting materials, a sledgehammer, and paint. We then moved to a Valuetech factory, in search of electric wiring. We grabbed as much as we could find, then all the radios that we could carry to disassemble them at home for more. Having both the car and our bags full, we make our way home, arriving at nighttime. I spend the next day starting the new loot and placing down the newly acquired furniture, setting myself an AC unit and giving the other one to Wendy. And as Jack said, their room was warm enough already with the two of them in there. The day after that, I dealt with the car and trailer repairs, and at the end of the day, we finally had light inside the house and warm rooms, finally being able to comfortably sleep at night. Then I rearranged the kitchen to make room for the new cupboards and make us a path from the garage to the door on the outside, decorating the center part of it. As I wake up, everyone is so excited about the recent base upgrades they just barged in on me as I was still getting dressed, asking when we would be going out again for more. Not wanting to disappoint, we jumped in the car and took off. Of course, I was immediately more embarrassed than before, as I forgot to inflate the tires and had to spend some time dealing with it before we set off, laughing at the situation. 2 hours later, we were now on our way. We go straight into the paint shop. We grab all sorts of painting colors and the painting on our way out, getting the trailer halfway full just with paint, and decided to fill the rest with a quick stop at the steel factory for more metal and welding rods. Having the trailer full, we make our way back home. I spend another day sorting the inventory out and putting things away. I'm not happy with how the fireplace I built looks, so I replace it with an antique oven. I paint the kitchen and nearly finish the living room, but I miscalculate how much plaster we actually needed. And after repairing the car, I forget to inflate the tires again. This time, I get it started while facing smart comebacks from everyone about my inability to pump tires. We explored the nearby garages for plaster, trying to avoid another long-winded trip to the warehouses. We find a generator, and did another, and another. Holy moly! At the end of the day, we discover 9 generators in this area. I grab 2 of them and leave the other 7 as backups for later. As we don't find plaster nearby, we head to an area near the train station that might have what we need. While looking for a place to park, my bad driving gets us into trouble as I somehow crash into a wall. Thankfully, after a few trips like this, the family of 3 acts like a military hit squad. We make our way inside, and there's so much loot here. We easily find plaster, and stock up on many more welding rods and as much metal as we can carry, grabbing a chrome microwave on our way out. With the sun still providing light, we decide to clear the roads a bit on our way home to save the car from repairs. I replace the microwave and make another box just for the plaster alone as we brought so much of it. I start plastering the place, but I have to leave the windows for later. After plastering the last room, I consider painting the outside, but decide I would rather have bricks than wood on the exterior, so a renovation starts. While at it, I create a little overhang all around the house so we can patrol the area while staying dry. After 3 days, the house is complete. No wolf is going to blow this house down. For the inside, I let my inner feng shui take over and paint things as they feel better around the house. The next day, I paint the bathroom and resolve the window problems, followed by building as many barrels as I can. I move the generators around since I probably don't need this many in the same place. There's only one more thing left to do, a sturdy fence. That's why I've been collecting so much metal, but after doing the math, I realize I'm still short on scrap metal. I spend the rest of the day working on getting more iron to turn into scrap. After 2 days of crafting scrap metal, I finally have enough and place down my first metal fence to mark where I wanted to start. I finish it the next day with a wire gate, then try my best to make the smithing area pretty with the roof. And last but not least, a small roofed fishing area that will double as a drinking spot overlooking the lake. The view is pretty great from here. Before going out, I remember to install an automatic gate, place down some fishing nets, then Jack and I head out to look for curtains. The surrounding area should have plenty of houses with them, and we might as well grab some food while we're at it. We gathered zombies around first, so they come from one direction, making it a quick and easy job to clear the streets before exploring the houses. We acquire some curtains and paintings along the way, until we reach a house with the front door open, and an alarm set. I immediately start running, but Jack refuses to move, wanting to stay and fight, justifying it as it will be easier now. I had the same thoughts in the past, so after calming down, I back him up. Eventually, after all the zombies in the area are cleared, he decides it's time to go back home and place down the curtains and paintings we gathered. The next day we rest, and I take the opportunity to make some trap boxes for hunting small game. After resting, we get back to searching for curtains, and I grab a couple of lamps while at it. Eventually, we find a house with the treadmill and the bench press. Bringing the car closer, we grab the fridge and the gym equipment. We mark the explored houses and head back home to sort out the loot, spending the rest of the day putting down all the newly acquired furniture. The following day, I finally put down the traps, making finding a big freezer a priority. We grab one of the generators we found in the garages and make our way to the gas station down south to try and find the freezer there. But we have no luck. Instead, we make the trip worthwhile by taking the arcades for ourselves. I can't stress enough how dangerous zombies in the road are. They make me lose control of the car far too easily. After placing down the arcades, I do a bit of running to catch up with my fitness training and go to sleep. Since the previous day's search for a fridge was a bust, we head to a small mall just south of the Central Park, sure to find one there. We clear the zombies chasing us and move inside the mall. Not knowing what to expect, we move slowly, clearing the hallways before exploring the place. I grab another rack, and as we pick up some clothes, we hear gunshots nearby. We run to check it out, hoping to find another survivor to help. We find him just in time as he's surrounded. We ask Jay to join us and go back to the mall. He mentions he's seen zombie movies to know what to do in these situations. Finding a pool table, I can't resist grabbing it, along with the piano, just in case anyone has a musical vein in them. On our way to the car, we find the fridges and load them up. We go back inside to clear the other side of the mall. It starts nice and slow, but when Jay fires a shot, we're quickly surrounded. Jay seems fearless, being in the front lines like an action hero. Thankfully, with 5 people's worth of firepower, we make it through. Since we don't have enough space for everyone, ask Jay to wait in one of the stores. After dropping Tracy back at the base, we pick up Jay and head home safely. Jay is okay crashing on the sofa for the night, saying he hasn't felt this safe in a while. I promise to find them a bed soon. Considering we'll have more people joining us in the future, I decide to grab bunk beds to make a barracks. Or we'd have to expand the house every time we find a new survivor. I check the traps for game and call it a day. The next day, I repair the car and the trailer and give Jay something other than the handgun he had, but I have no more silencers. I then place down the new furniture we got the previous day. The boys and I go out to clear the roads. Everything is going fine until everyone gets caught reloading. I manage to clear the zombies off Jay, but he's nearly passing out and unable to grab a bandage for himself, dying from blood loss while Jack and I clear the rest of the zombies. We pick up his body and bring him home. Even though Jay only stayed with us for a day, it was one day more than he would have had if we hadn't saved him the day before. The lingering feeling of putting him in danger and getting him killed due to my recklessness and overconfidence leaves a sour taste in my mouth. We bury his body and place a curtain in his memory. I spend the next 2 days working on smithing, making as many 5.56 rounds as I can, perhaps in an attempt to come to terms with what happened to Jay. I wake up to gunshots. I search the surrounding area, trying to pinpoint where they're coming from. I spot a raider across the lake, so I gear up and make my way to take care of it with Jack. Still, we keep hearing gunshots across the forest. We wonder if it's raiders, but we take our chances and decide to investigate. In the thick of the forest, we find the horde. After dispatching them, we find a naked dead body. We thought that was it, but why would he be naked? Maybe someone else took his loot and clothes? We press on, and we hear the gunshots again. Following the shots, we arrive at what appears to be a music festival. Another person is recently deceased, with zombies all over him. Was this who was just shooting? We clear the area and make our way inside. I can't see anyone alive in there, but maybe we can find some valuable loot. Pick up a ham radio, but there's nothing we need in the infirmary. There's still a crowd of zombies in the area, and what looks like the lead singer on stage. A dead representation of what was once a good time. We make our way out, and that's when more shots are fired, making us check the back, hoping to hear more shots, but we can't see anyone. Whoever this is, they're an expert at guerrilla warfare and staying hidden. They know what they're doing. We head back home. The next day, the shots are closer. I jump the fence, check it out on my own, and come across another survivor, Alan, who I initially think is a raider. I say hi and ask him to join us. He refuses with a smart-ass remark, but I hear more gunshots and leave Alan to whatever he's doing. Following the sound, I eventually find the source, a guy furiously fighting against the odds and winning. I give him a hand, even though he doesn't need it, and ask him to join us. He's glad to help. His name is Jordan, and we make our way back to base, where we find Alan again, this time checking the base out. I ask him again if he wants to join, and seeing how I went out of my way to help Jordan, he thinks maybe I don't suck as much, even though Jay's death keeps creeping up in my mind, making his words that much heavier. I keep working on smithing, ensuring I have enough bullets and silencers for everyone this time. I don't want to lose anyone else. At night, during a meeting, we get raided. Jack and Wendy immediately start shooting the intruders down. Eventually, we all join in, making a mess of the living room. Luckily, the raiders probably didn't expect so many armed people inside and didn't react, so none of us is too hurt. We clean up the bodies, and I ensure the gate stays locked at night to prevent this in the future, cleaning the floor with bleach. I wake up with a bad feeling and go to the roof to check the area. In the forest, I see another group of raiders getting ready to strike. As I gear up, I hear gunshots outside. Wendy is already on the case. I ask her to join me, and we clear the rest of them. We check the woods to ensure everything is clear and return to our tasks. I make a couple of bunk beds for our new residents, placing down the pool table and the piano upstairs. Then spend the rest of the day repairing and refueling the generators. The next day, Tracy and Wendy come to me with an issue. We're nearly running out of toilet paper with all the new people using more. I reassure them we'll get it as soon as possible. It's too late to go out, so I create a side area to park more cars as we need to expand our vehicle collection. As we search for toilet paper, we spot another survivor. Her name is Kim. After getting Kim a suitable weapon, we loot until sunset, facing little resistance as we cleared the roads before. On our way home, I ask Alan if he knows anything about Finnegan's research group and tell him my theory. He says no, but our best bet to find anything would be in the center of town, where the military had set up a building as their base of operations during the week when all of this blew up. I place down the cupboard and fill it with the toilet paper we found. We've been clearing the surrounding neighborhoods of zombies to train for our trip to the center of town. Alan, with his military background, has been invaluable. This madman survived on his own in the wild for a long time, so we trust his advice. After a long day, I decided to fuel and turn on all the generators. The amount of electricity we're using is staggering. 8 generators will only last a little over a month. At least this way, I won't forget to fix them. They'll run out of gas before reaching critical condition and exploding. I cooked, checked the car's condition, and maintained my weapons before setting up for the city center. I ended the day by building a recreational area for us. Alan, Jordan, and I started making a path towards the town center. We scouted the area, clearing threats as we went to ensure a safe retreat path without zombies or wreckage blocking us. Our strategy was simple but effective. Lure them out, then face them from a single direction to save bullets. As the sun sets, we returned home. I finished building the barrels I wanted, including one for farming purposes. After sorting out the previous day's loot, I decided to bring Kim with us. We need to clear the area faster, and an extra pair of hands will help. With Kim joining us, we continued our strategy but took some extra risks. We raided the Zippy market for extra supplies since we were already out there. We found a Hotties magazine, which prompted Alan to make a comment that Kim didn't appreciate. Jordan followed her to talk it through while Alan gave her space. Eventually, she came back, and they made up. Thanks, Jordan, for keeping us together. I noticed Jordan hiding the pinball machine, so as a thank you, I grabbed it for him. After a quick meal, we returned to our mission. The hordes are getting scarier now that they're all sprinters. Thankfully, we have enough firepower to keep them at bay. Wave after wave, we cleared the streets, leaving piles of zombies behind as we make our way to the center. This is as dangerous as it gets. There are thousands of zombies in Louisville. Reaching the inner city, we faced apartment blocks teeming with unknown numbers of zombies and hundreds already in the streets. This was a siege point, and we had to push carefully from here. Parking between the news station building and an apartment complex seemed like a good idea at the time. We could see the zombies inside, and their numbers didn't look too bad. It gave us a good idea of what to expect and when to expect it. We held our ground when they broke the door, clearing the waves as they came. But then, out of nowhere, "Run!" I yelled. But they were confident they had time to reload. I kept firing until I had to reload myself. Instead of fighting back, their minds broke and they just stood there, praying not to die. Eventually, after seeing Alan fall, they snapped out of it and ran away. Jordan fell back to the clear zone, and Kim ran into the news building. I tried to dispatch as many zombies as I could while Jordan bandaged himself up. As Jordan rejoined me, we tried to clear the zombies to retrieve Alan's body. Suddenly, a sniper rifle thundered through the streets, sealing our fate. I grabbed Alan and told Jordan to fall back. He ran as I tried to evaluate our situation. Another huge wave came out of the building, forcing me to drop Alan and give Jordan time to reload. I follow Jordan as he tells me to switch. He'll draw the horde and keep running in circles while I reload again and come back for him. I reload and walk my way back to the direction I last saw him. This plan seemed like it worked. I cover for him while he reloads, and we make our way back to Alan, hoping him is still alive. The place is a mess. There are so many zombies on the entrance floor, they have piled up by the hundreds now. I pick up Alan's body and manage to get to the trailer while Jordan covers for me. Then I enter the building where I last saw Kim. It's really dark, and I use my lighter to see my surroundings, coming across her lifeless body immediately. I hold her and bring her back to the trailer, but Jordan has a breakdown and starts freaking out at the sight of 3 zombies, running into the news building himself now. I drop her and rescue him, forcing us to go home after too many close calls. The day after, we bury Alan. We pay him our respects, and I stay in the base, knowing it was my fault those people died. All for the sake of my quest to find the truth. How can I keep going like this? The next day, Jack and Tracy convinced me to go and pick up Kim's body. Jordan stayed behind as he is in no state to fight anymore, at least for a while, and Wendy to ensure nothing goes wrong. As we get there, Tracy immediately freaks out. She never saw so much death in one place, and the smell is nauseating. We pick Kim up and make our way back, burying her next to Alan. This sucks. I spent the morning looking for stones for their cairns. I felt like a turtle hiding inside its shell, staying in and running several what-if scenarios, questioning my sanity over my recent actions. At the end of the day, I'm drinking away my sorrows, and Jack asks if I'm okay. We drink together, and he reminds me they all know how it is out there. And even though it might have been a bad idea to stay in front of the apartment, if I quit now, their sacrifice would be in vain. I thank him for his kind words, and he leaves. I wanted to ask him if he believes I'm going insane, but afraid, I kept my mouth shut. I fish for the rest of the day, until a zombie tries to get me, but I keep on fishing. And then somehow, the zombie gets entangled in the fishing wire and ends up strangling itself. As stupid as the situation was, I couldn't help but chuckle, making my spirits a bit better. The next day, me, Tracy, and Jack go back to clear the roads. As we reach the area, I feel how anxious everyone is about being back here. Jack couldn't help but flee as he saw Hard running towards us, letting me know their fate in me wasn't the same as before. We take it a bit further in, hoping to check out what lies ahead while trying to avoid being next to the apartment complex. On the third wave, I felt how much they trusted me, leaving me to face a Hard on my own as I dispatched them. They apologized when they came closer, but the damage to my mind was already done. I can only hope they'll trust me again eventually, and we called it a day. I checked the weather for the next day, and no storms are coming. Let's three go out again to keep clearing the roads, but as we get out of the base, we spot a lone raider, and we sneak up on him. With the image of Alan in my mind, I decide to let this one go, but he decides to stop for a moment, and Tracy wasn't having it. She fired, claiming it's not worth risking her family over this. Raiders will come back with more people and guns, and it's not sensible to leave them alive. All I could think about is how my poor leadership skills will kill everyone one of these days. And I took the final shot. We spend the day doing the same routine with no signs of progress. As we keep finding hordes of hundreds past this point, Tracy suggests maybe we should just push on, scouting ahead through the streets. Maybe it's not that bad after the apartments, and doubting my own experience, I agree. Initially, it wasn't that bad. The roads were clearer, but as we go deeper and explore more, the hordes get bigger, and eventually we face a horde that would stop us in our tracks. It only took a second of hesitation, and we were surrounded by zombies. If it wasn't for the armor and the horsepower, we would be done for. Tracy got a few scratches from that, and the tire popped out. Then a second. The car is basically turning thanks to the brakes barely directing the car, while the rear wheels kept pushing us desperately trying to get to the road we had cleared. Finally, a third tire blows up as the car slowly stops as we reach the cleared road. We cleared the zombies coming at us, finding ourselves in a safe place. The car is beyond repair at this point. I need new parts, so after grabbing a few essentials from the car, we start walking towards our base, having to stop as night falls, looking for somewhere to sleep in. As we are settling in for the night, we hear gunshots. We proceed to investigate it as it doesn't sound too far from us. If anything, we'll help if we can. We ask Lindsay if she wants to join us and move back to the house to get some rest. We keep on walking down the street the next day until we come across a car parking lot. After looking at a few vehicles, we find one that has gas and is ready to go. It took me a few tries to outwire it, but after a success, we drove home. We had something to eat, and Wendy was relieved to see us alive. She expected the worst after not seeing us come back home yesterday. We got ready to go, and she insisted on coming with us this time instead of Tracy. She didn't want to put her at risk and wanted to make sure Jack came back alive. even though all we were doing was getting the vehicles back. It had to be done one vehicle at a time, but by the end of the day, we had the car and the trailer back home. I bring the car into the garage and check the state of it. Only new tires, but everything else can be repaired. I set off to search for a car I can use for parts. I decide to go on my own this time, as this is a quick mission around the neighborhood, looking for a car I can steal its tires from. A little bit after dusk, I found the car in a wrecked state, but its tires can be repaired, so I bring it back to base. I uninstall the tires, repair them, and install them on my car, repairing it afterwards. Then, after giving Lindsay some clothes and armor, we are on the move again. The plan remains the same, but as I desperately drove to escape last time, I noticed some streets that had fewer zombies. We'll be clearing those roads while making our way to the army building, this time without the trailer so it doesn't slow us down in case we run into trouble again. We slowly inch our way forward, clearing wave after wave of zombies, making slow but steady progress through the streets, having to deal with bigger hordes in the intersections. After 2 days of clearing the roads, we know our objective is nearby. The roads are piled with hundreds of zombies on the floor. As we check the area, there are still hundreds more of them in the parking lot. We do what we practiced for the last couple of days, showing that they trusted me again as we crept towards the building we had our eyes on. We cleared the area as best as we can with the time we had, leaving behind hundreds if not thousands of zombies on the roads. After all of that, we carried the trailer to the outpost, dropping it and clearing the front of the building so we wouldn't be overrun in close quarters. We are finally at the door, but it's too late now, so we search for a nearby building that might be safe enough to sleep in. We sneak in and make as little noise as possible to not attract the locals, sleeping through the night in the center of the city, hearing groans and banging all night long. In the morning, we start looting the place, looking for anything that might drop us a clue about the virus. But in the basement, all we find are tools, clothes, all sorts of balls, and a computer. We dig deeper into the building, finding lockers with plenty of bullets, clothes, and vests, but no clues. The office is bare bones too. The upstairs barracks have nothing to speak of. As I go down the stairs, I remember the computer stashed away. Now finding it weird that the office didn't have any computers except this forgotten one in the basement. Not wanting to go back empty-handed, I grab it to check it out later at home. As I'm loading up the trailer, I remember I picked up a map before. Checking it out, I'm happy to have found out the survivor in Riverside. I hope she was simply hiding away and not dead when I was there. As we're about to leave, the horde makes me stop and engage them. The last thing I need is for the car to be wrecked now. But after we fight the horde, I remember a map that pleaded for someone to save the art in the museum. I'm not sure if I'm the best to save it, given my track record with house fires, but I'll take what I can to decorate the base. The place looks packed with zombies, so I'll make noise to call them out, fighting on our own terms. We clear it as best as we can as we explore the museum, grabbing whatever we recognize as big pieces of art and from the back rooms until nightfall. Realizing that toilets were indeed a piece of art nowadays, as very few people know how to make one, and yet everyone still needs them, we found ourselves appreciating the mundane. Also, Wendy really wanted that big mirror, so I couldn't say no to that. We left the lot behind, hoping a fire wouldn't consume it all before we or someone else could grab it. It would be a shame to lose it all. After these long days, we finally returned home victorious. I started putting everything away and decorating the house with all the things we had just acquired, checking what the computer had to tell us by the end of the day. Looking through the files, there wasn't much to go on, just a bunch of reports on the initial week of the infection, with the computer being decommissioned for an upgraded version. But there wasn't any more computers in there. I guess it was all taken as a cover-up measure, just like all the other places. The only thing worth mentioning is that everyone sick was sent to the Louisville checkpoint, but we already have been there and checked it. It was cleared, just like the outpost. Alan and Kim's sacrifice was for nothing. We're just as we were 2 months ago, still ignorant and running out of crumbs to follow. Not sure what to do, I decided to dedicate the 2 statues to their memory and decorate them. Without them, we wouldn't be here. Unsure how to cope with all of this, I went back to the garden, and wanting to respect their memory, I tidied up the garden while thinking about what to do next. The only thing I could think of was to keep roaming through Louisville until I found something, so we might as well start clearing the streets and making a map of our own. I loaded the oven with all the twigs I had collected outside, ate something, grabbed some extra for the day, and set out with Jack, Wendy, and Lindsay. As we set off, I told them what I was thinking. Lindsay suggested we clear a path to the mall or go to the army depot. Her train of thought was that there's no other place that should be more stocked with loot and weapons. Having no better idea, we set the path to the mall, which was the closest. Clearing a path to the mall wasn't as bad as what we did in our previous mission. By the end of the day, we found ourselves checking its parking lot for a car to avoid taking the trailer and checking out the zombie population. We did find a survivor, but since she was hostile, we let her be to her own fate. I left the trailer behind, and we set out to find a new car, keeping an eye out for anything from the Finnegan research group. We needed something with high torque that could take a roof rack. We explored most of the city, finally finding something that suited our needs. I spent the whole day bringing it up to shape and installing all the armor I could, plus a roof rack in the morning of the next day. Then Jack and I took it to the gas station to fill it up in all the propane tanks. I was nearly out of propane with all the repairs. I upgraded and distributed weapons to everyone, focusing on AK-47s with 4x scopes and giving Jack an M14 with an 8x scope. We still needed more scopes, so gun stars were added to our list. I made a bug-out bag for the car tools to avoid mixing them up with new tools. Then took care of the maintenance duties I had been putting off, cooked for the week, and finished the day with some fishing. We then made our way into the mall. I can't tell you how good it felt to get out of the garage without having to turn the trailer. It shouldn't be too bad since most of the roads were cleared, and we should be able to find more weapons and parts we needed. Of course, we still had to clear our way through the mall first. I might have underestimated how hard this would be. We spent the whole day trying to make a dent in the yards, but couldn't get far as there were more zombies inside the mall than outside. After a whole day of shooting and getting nowhere close to the back, with Wendy having a close call and feeling queasy, we called it a day, especially when I saw she was bitten. On our way home, I noticed neither Wendy nor Jack seemed worried about it, so I asked why. They told me it wasn't their first bite. Ever since the virus spread, they healed very fast. I found it odd since my wounds took weeks to heal, but Lindsay confirmed it. I was left speechless for the rest of the drive home. Why am I different than them? In the morning, I checked Wendy's wounds, and true to their word, they were all gone. I heard the sound and checked all around the place, but I saw no one, so I returned to stash the previous day's loot. Running low on bullets, I spent the day making 5.56 rounds, keeping an eye out in the northeast area as I kept hearing gunshots from there. Not wanting to run out of bullets anytime soon, I made more the next day too. It was really foggy, so I took another day of rest, reading in the recreation room and nearly reaching my full sprinting potential. As the day ended, I built a tire rack, realizing I now had 3 Camaros, one too many for the space I had. I dismantled one for parts the day after that, replacing some parts on the current car and placing a spare tire on it. Having put all the parts away by the end of the day, I fished some more, finally having plenty of fish to feed the pack. Giving up on the idea of conquering the mall for now, we decided to drive into town to reach the Northwest Ammo Depot Lindsay mentioned before. We took the cleared route until we reached the uncleared part of the city, pressing on around the zombies until we come across a giant statue of Spiffo. I never wanted something so bad. I decided to come back for it later. I took a wrong turn, ending up in the dead end. I was glad we didn't have the trailer. Otherwise, it could have been our end. I stopped to check on everyone and the car. Everyone was okay, and the car, though damaged, could keep going. We arrived at the army depot around noon, cleared the area, and got inside to loot the place. The first crate I come across had a ghillie suit torso part. I already felt like a kid on Christmas. We grabbed all the ammo we could, an 8x scope, more rifles than we could ever need, and more military gear. We had to take a short break to deal with raiders. It sounded like a war zone out there, but with all the noise, I trusted the sprinters would take care of it. We just watched from afar to make sure we wouldn't have any issues later and returned to looting. We stripped the depot of all its gun parts, guns, and ammo, making our way home during nighttime. I spent the next day sorting out the loot. As I did, I spotted someone watching us. I called him over and asked him to join us. He did promptly, and after fitting Gary with new weaponry, he gave me some socks. I guess the gesture is what counts. Then gathered the usual tree to tell them about my plan to get Spiffo here. And despite Wendy not being impressed, Jack and Lynn were just as excited as me to get it, making Wendy shove Jack. It's a risk, but it's so definitely worth it, we just have to do it. I can't understand where she's coming from, since she's coming with us just to protect us. Fuck! I stopped the car where it's safe to do so. I had only a scratch on my hand. Lynn had a fractured arm. Wendy had a deep scratch on her hand, and Jack was sound. So the day trip was cut short, as we came back home to recover from our wounds. I placed a splint on Lynn's arm and read for the morning, repairing the car for the rest of the day, checking up on everyone before bed. And they weren't joking. Wendy was already recovered from her scratch.
And Lynn was fully recovered from a fracture on the arm in 12 hours, while I was still recovering from a fucking scratch.
Damn, that's some healing power. While sitting down before bed, I concluded that maybe the virus has changed them somehow. They didn't turn into zombies, but gained some of the properties I see in them. All healed up, we made our way into the city, parking in the center of the parking lot. We cleared our way to Spiffo's HQ, where we could take our prize, taking all the flooring with it for good measure. Wanting more Spiffo's merch, we went inside. But as we grabbed a huge Spiffo poster, we lost our nerve after hearing all the banging, making us do a swift retreat. We made our way back home through the route we took before through the mall. But due to the wrecks being in the way, I turned left, making us go around the block to avoid zombies. Passing through a storage unit we could take a look at for more goodies. As I swerved out into a parking lot to avoid zombies, Jack screamed me to stop. That was what I was looking for. Finnegan Research Group's building. The horde here was too large for us to get out now, making us retreat to come up with a plan for tomorrow. I placed down the new spiffles decorations and thought to myself, perfection. We discussed what the plan to raid the place would be as we heard the noise outside. Jordan, looking through the window, spotted the raider, and we all went into action. They tried charging at us, not realizing how fully armed we are. I swear, zombies have better vision than these guys. Around the back, there was only one guy left. I aimed to make my shot. Jack, having the long-range rifle, stopped me. I got this. He aimed, then pulled the trigger. With that done, I took a bite to eat, got ready to sleep, took my bandage off, and drifted away, wondering about what I'm about to find in that building. Thank you for tuning in. As we approach the final episode, I'm grateful for all the support I've seen in the comments and from subscribers. A special thank you goes out to my patron for supporting this crippling addiction for Project Zomboid, and now you too. Your support has meant the world to me, and I couldn't have done it without you all. Let's make this last episode one to remember.